This is just amazing. So it's another one of those knife fights where like different identity politics are just fighting each other, and it's amazing to see. And I'm just
Which
again,
team are we on?
we're on. I mean, again, we're sort of like throwing money in the middle, but there is one team here that I think knows that they're just having fun with it. So the first thing I saw was this trending, which is an Indian MP raises in the, I presume, Indian Parliament that there's racism in the UK, and he mentions that the UK is somehow some kind of racist country, and
Hang on.
and the Indian Parliament needs to bring this up to the UK government.
Right. Look, are we India? Are we pointing fingers about racism? Are we? Does India have no problem with racism to the point where you're like, well, we've solved that problem. Now Britain, oh gosh, racism. Come on.
So his argument goes that if there's racism practiced by the royal family, the highest level of society in Britain, then what about the lower levels of society? There's going to be much worse racism. And he says that there's segregation of migrants going on in the UK, which
Where?
I don't. Maybe he's referring to Trevor Phillips saying that the UK was sleepwalking into segregation. But that's not because we have a policy of segregating whites and non-whites.
No.
It's that people live among their own communities. So you have, like, the Irish live here,
Yeah.
the Indians live here, the Pakistanis live there, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which is universal. That happens in every country. So, I don't know. He also says that the death rate of Asians is higher in the UK, and then complains that this might be because of access to healthcare in the UK.
I assume he means coronavirus.
Yeah, which I also don't get, like, how we have free healthcare at the point of service for everyone. So, yeah. But
And more importantly, it's more about your own lifestyle and choices.
So on a surface level, this looks absolutely just idiotic. And of course, we're going to make it the point that it's even more idiotic coming from the state of India. And we could do this argument of like, oh, well, look at India. So if you can get the next link, the Washington Post, this was a survey done a long time ago. Would you have a problem with a people of another race living next door to you? And India scored most upset by that. I mean, the country with the caste system, yeah, big surprise. And then there's also the fact that...
I noticed how we're among the least racist countries.
Yeah, at a global scale, the West is the place that doesn't care about race.
Apart from France.
But that's them. So there's also the point of, like, India and England have never really had race problems on the same level as, let's say, white and black Americans. That's not really been the case. I know a lot of people try to make the history that, but it's not been.
No,
so
it's not.
We go to the next link. This is like the list of ethnic minority politicians in the United Kingdom, just for the best point here. If you can scroll to the first one there. 1842, Anglo-Indian. That was the first politician of an ethnic minority background, and there's a whole bunch of Anglo-Indian, British Indian politicians coming up since there. You notice we have the first MP of a minority background. What was it, 23 years before the US stops slavery. So before they've even realised that maybe brown people are people, we've got MPs. But
this really explains the sort of the American propaganda. It's like the English will talk to a black person as if they're a person. It's like, well,
yeah.
we're kind of used to them, you know.
It's been going on a while.
Yeah.
And there's just a point I wanted to mention, the Robert Conquest book I've been reading. He makes the point in there, like his grandfather wrote a book with an Indian who wrote down the oral poetry that his family had known, so it was codified. And he opens it with like, I want to give great thanks to my friend so-and-so for helping me out with this. And you just compare that to how the Germans spoke to Slavs, never mind Jews. Like, would they ever start, oh, thank you to my good friend, you know.
Yeah, not very likely.
Not going to happen. And of course, you could carry on with this argument in which you look at just Indians in the UK, how they're doing. So if you get the next link and go to percentage of households in weekly income bands, if you just do the highest there, you can see the people who earn the most, Indians. Indians, number one.
So we need to talk about Indian privilege.
Yeah, I mean, then you've got, white other, Asian other, Chinese, mixed, all, and then white British, and then other Pakistani, Bangladeshi, black at the bottom there.
I mean, okay, so how are the Pakistanis and Bangladeshis doing so poorly compared to the Indians when they come from exactly the same place?
Culture. It's that simple. It's funny, isn't it? Like it's something we can actually learn from. I mean, we looking at this as liberals.
Can I just point out that white British seem to be doing very poorly as well?
Yeah, so I mean, but we don't turn around and be like, therefore, privileges for white people. It's no, look at the Indians and the Chinese. They're doing pretty good. We need to learn from them. We need to start adopting some of their financial practices, surely. Anyway, and this is what we could do, but it turns out that has nothing to do with this guy's argument. This guy is not actually trying to make the game of India has suffered from UK racism and the UK must look to itself. He's not an SJW. He's from the BJP, the Hindu Nationalist Party, the right-wingers. So the game he's playing here is something way funnier, and the reason I was laughing. So if you go to the next link, this is some Indian reporting on a case. So an Indian lady went to Oxford after studying in India. She went for the president position of the Oxford University Student Union. She got it. And then a bunch of SJWs dug up a bunch of her Instagram posts. And I'm so offended by you saying this thing. And
Well, what
this
did
thing.
she say?
They never really tell you. Like, none of the outlets seem to tell you. They just make references.
Well, I'm
to
just
them.
saying that Mein Kampf is a bestseller in India.
So, yeah, I mean, you would be suspicious. But it doesn't seem to be anything actually that extreme. It's just things that would upset SJWs. So, if we can go to the next link, or it's not loading or not. Website with traffic at the moment. Anyway, so the some of the things that are mentioned here, that there's a Holocaust memorial post which offended people, but they don't tell you why. There was a post about Chinese people where she says Chan Ching or something like that. But
Right.
again, there's no context. And then there's a post where she says that she used the word trans women, not just women. So I don't even know. Like it's just so weird. The offense seems to be completely SJW. So
Yeah.
I'm not
Okay.
buying it for
Yeah.
a second that she's actually done anything wrong. But the news before that was complaining that what happened to her is horrible because it's cyberbullying of an Indian student, and therefore the UK is a racist place, and that's what the MP is referencing. And she says in here, which is very revealing, what happened with a British royal is not India's business, and New Delhi understands that. But the cyberbullying of an Indian student needs to be addressed. So the criticism here is nothing to do with how Britain is run.
No.
This Indian lady has lost her position as president, and the Indian right wing or Indian establishment are upset with that. And they're claiming that this shows that the UK is a racist country because they've been cyberbullying this lady. So they're not accusing the government or the country. They're accusing the SJWs of being a bunch of racists who hate Indians and Hindus.
Well, of course they are.
So so this is going to be the war now. It's going to be the Indian right wingers saying you hate us because you're
Okay, I'm
Hindu
just gonna
phobic.
throw my money in. Let's see who wins.
So she apologized in response to those posts, which was pointless, had to resign. And then she said that the cancel culture mob got her, which they certainly
to be,
did.
yeah.
So if we can go to the Twitter post in which she's complaining that Twitter then took down her account. Apparently some of her other accounts were taken
Really?
down. Which, for what? Because this didn't seem to be offensive at all. It was just SJWs offensive. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, Twitter and whatnot are run by SJWs, so I guess we know. And the Inquisition also came after her. So the Oxford Student Union Campaign for Racial Awareness and Equality said that not only did she post racially insensitive captions on social media, but she also proceeded to deny the harm used by her actions, and when questioned about it. I was like, what harm?
Yeah,
There was no harm.
what's she done?
Nothing she can talk about. And then she got a bunch of like nasty messages from this. So if you just could click on the image,
Is
just
this
so we
from
can see it.
radical leftists sending her horrible, horrible messages?
By the looks of it. So this is
Oh,
what
look at
I'm saying.
that.
You're a transphobic, racist, insensitive student union president at Oxford, right? Next one. You go to it. So your face looks like a black horse's ass. Ching chong that C word.
Well, hang on, Chinese person who's offended by racism.
So let's go to
What
the
were you
next one.
saying about the Indian lady's face?
Yeah. Let's go to the next one. And then someone saying, you can stay there, you racist F.
But what about the other guy?
This is after she's gone
Yeah,
back to India, so he's sort of like, and stay there. And then there's, complaining about her. And apparently her parents also were saying that a mosque being blown up was good, so they're saying in here. If you go to the next one as well, yeah. But I don't know what's true, and I don't buy the SJWs are telling the truth for a second. But I love the phrasing here from this guy. Hindophobia seems to have no limits.
That's true.
This is an interesting vector of attack. So it's like you get criticized by the SJWs for doing a thing that they say is offensive. I don't buy it for a second. I think that she probably did nothing wrong by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
She just expressed
the-
her opinion.
From the position of a normal person,
Yeah.
she did nothing wrong.
And then the attack in the response is not, you're a bunch of nutjobs, but instead, you're being Hindu-phobic by criticizing me, which is exactly the same tactic the Islamists have been able to use in response to criticism of Islam. And it's worked tremendously well for them.
It has.
So I don't see how it might not work. So if we can go to the next link here, this is news talking about it. So this is an article she wrote in response. Being Hindu doesn't make me intolerant. So I love it. I love the like switcheroo of it,
Yeah.
and then there's nothing they can do. So she mentions in here she was born in a small town. Neither of her parents had degrees. She worked really hard, got the job in university, moved to Oxford. I mean, I'm just like, yeah, okay. Actually, thinking of it in just normal terms for a second, away from ID poll, this is horrible because I mean, this person is smart. They know what they're doing. Has managed to get a degree, and screw that, she said something wrong, as if that's important at all.
Well, she said something wrong by the standards of radical leftists.
Yeah, so one of the things she said, she actually said in here, she compared Cecil Rose to Adolf Hitler, She said that Rhodes was no better than Hitler himself, which, I mean, I disagree with, because, I mean, from an English perspective, that's absolutely, obviously silly.
Well,
I mean,
again, not just from an English perspective.
sorry, yeah, from any perspective, it's silly. I mean, Hitler was a genocidal maniac who tried to conquer the world. Cecil, an imperialist. Like, okay. Like, he wasn't trying to genocide the people there. He was of the view that the people he was, making into colonies were people that needed to be taught how to be civilized, which is one thing. And then there's murder everyone in the country, which is a different thing. But anyway, she also points in here that in her manifesto, she uses language like she needs to seek a policy of decolonization at the university and words like the global south instead of third world, which is very telling. She knows what's going on here. Like, she knows the game that's being played. But she's also incredibly smart, and I love it. She turns around and she's like, no, you're a bunch of Hinduphobes, and you hate me for being Hindu. And I think it's
because
great
I
attack.
come from the global south, isn't it?
Yeah, and what defensive they got. It's fantastic. So the next link here is her going on some show and complaining about the intolerance of liberals and the woke. I mean, she's right.
Yeah.
She's absolutely right. These people are terrible. And she mentions that there's intolerance of Hindus on campus. And to be honest, I can actually imagine that of the Pakistani community here, there probably is large intolerance of Hindus and of India. I mean, surprise, surprise. I mean, two countries that hate each other, a bit of war, and had several genocides.
Like being an Israeli and being like, these Palestinians hate me.
Yeah,
well,
which
maybe
I'm
they do,
not inclined not to believe. And then there's the next link here, which is like the news covering it. And, you know what, let's play it. Just hit like watch again, and we'll watch like the first 30 seconds just to get a taste of Indian
और
news.
आइए आपको बताते हैं आपको कि किस तरह से ऑक्सफोर्ड में इस समय हिंदू फोबिया चल रहा है, किस तरह कुछ लोग हिंदू फोबिया के शिकार हैं।
Explosions!
डंका बजाने
Oh,
वाली
gosh.
रश्मि सावंत से जुड़ी हुई इस वक्त की बड़ी खबर है। रश्मि सावंत ने अध्यक्ष पद से इस्तीफा दे दिया है और दरअसल
But just like, I love it. I love all the graphics. Everything's changing every 3 seconds. But then just
Flashing lights, things exploding,
The host-
dramatic music.
screaming Hindu-phobia every 3 words. There's something beautiful about it. I can't be upset. It's just great. Oh man. So that's what's going on there, which is just the switcheroo of like, no, this is definitely Hindu-phobia. You guys need to stop being Hindu-phobes. And I'm all on board. I'm all aboard the train. This is some way of taking it down. The thing we were laughing about was I could just imagine like Piers Morgan doing this. Like, that's GB News, but he's just shouting like, no, this is your Anglophobia. But he's also got to do it in an Indian accent, like purposely.
Get on it, Piers.
Yeah, you've got your inspiration. Oh man, that would be great. Anyway, and then
So if GB News are not nearly as polished as that, I'm going to be very disappointed.
no, if you get beaten out by the BJP outlets, then not good enough. But I love it, and I'm sort of, I see what they're playing at. So you see this guy here, him complaining about the UK being racist. That's what this whole game is. It's them trying to get back at the woke people who are trying to take Indians down in the UK. And I mean, I'm not opposed.
No, not at all.
We got no goat in this fight, but sorry, dog in this fight. I keep getting that phrase mixed up. No, I did this the last time. I honestly thought the term was goat in this fight for some reason.
Well, it probably was back in your Russian village when you were
whatever,
raised.
But like the Indians understand. Like, these guys understand. These BJP politicians. She understands. She's very smart by the looks of it. And they don't care about woke nonsense. I mean, if you sat down and spoke to these people honestly, I bet none of them would give you stock nonsense about wokeism. And they're definitely not woke. But they will absolutely use all of that terminology to destroy their enemies, which happen to be the woke morons in this case. And I'm all for it. Go for it. God save India. 3 cheers for the Indians if they're going to bring down the woke nonsense.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like, I'm in awe at their brilliance. Like, I started reading this and I just looked at myself like, man, we are stupid. Like we are really stupid.
We should have been accusing them of Anglophobia the whole time.
Yeah, I don't know. We were wasting our time. If we could do that instead, that would be much more worthwhile.
If you enjoyed this segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can watch the full broadcast live every weekday at 1 p.m. UK time on lotuseaters.com.